Hey guys, welcome back. Modii here with another Mondays with Modii. God, I have to think about that every time. We are back. So last couple episodes we've been talking about GameStop and we are keeping up that trend. We talked about how the company works. We talked about the employees. I still have so much to say about both those things, but I'm trying to keep this rolling. So I think today, and I have a feeling this is going to be a multi-parter, and I don't know if I can do this back to back, so these might be spaced out. We're going to talk about customers. Customers at GameStop and Game Crazy. I see a lot of comments where a lot of people work in retail, and I'm not trying to say that that any one type of job has better or worse customers, but with GameStop, there was a lot of different kinds. And some of this I've already kind of touched on, but I might touch on it again just so you guys are caught up. So let's just kind of start with some different categories of customers. Number one of the ones I despise the most, other people's kids. Other people's kids. Oh, I love my kids. Most of the time, I like my kids. Other people's kids, no, not a fan. Not a fan of other people's kids. Now, the other people's kids category is kind of a two-piecer. Okay, so obviously the kids come in and they make a mess. They want to mess with things, and I'm talking like, we'll say like I don't know, like 6 to 12-ish in age. They pull on the interactives, they pick up games, carry them around, they just set stuff places, they yank on things, they don't understand the product is on locked pegs, so they just keep yanking on until they get off and whatnot, and they just overall make a mess, which is annoying and frustrating. The part that makes me talk about them first is their parents. One of the downsides is that most of your GameStops are in kind of a strip mall. Either there's a grocery store or a Walmart or a Target or something. Generally, most of them are in some sort of strip type mall, strip shopping center. So what ends up happening is video game stores become daycare centers. Parents will come by. Sometimes they won't even come in. They'll literally stop in front of the store, drop their kids off, and then go do their errands. And they basically think of GameStop as an arcade. For younger people, arcades were places. I'm not explaining this. Anyways, so they'll just drop their kids off. They'll tell their kids, go inside there, don't leave until we come back to get you. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I have kids, so when I go grocery shopping, it takes a while. An hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and these kids aren't supposed to leave. The problem you run into is obviously they're making a mess. Obviously, from a customer service standpoint, you can't whip other people's kids. I don't even whip my own kids, but I will whip other people's kids if I could. Sometimes I'll just carry a branch around, do it. Anyways, I think that's why Nintendo called it a Switch, because you could hit children with it. Anyways, and they make a mess, and the thing is, from a business standpoint, not only is it a mess, not only is it frustrating, but 99% of the time, they're not buying anything. It's not like mom and dad are going to go to the grocery store and then come in and be like, okay, kids, what did you pick out? Oh, this $1,000 worth of stuff. Awesome, let's pay for it. Almost never happens. I've seen them pull up and honk the horn. I've seen them pull up and jump out of a still running car and say, all right, kids, let's go. And there's never an intention of ever making a purchase. Remember, this is a business. This is not a daycare. And yeah, so they just, other people's kids just drove me crazy. They made a mess, and I I somewhat get it. I kind of understand it because it's a lot easier, especially if you have a bunch of kids, to get through the grocery store in an hour than 4 hours taking the kids. But you know what? Find a babysitter. See what grandma's doing. Whatever. Just don't drop them off with me. And then, of course, when they're done shopping, they've got stuff they got to get home. They've got groceries they got to get home or things they got to get home. They're not going to look around. Very seldom did the parent actually ever come in the store. And and yeah, I mean, for most retail policies, I can't kick the kids out. You know, they don't know where their parents are, probably, especially the younger they are. They're not going to be able to find them. And like I said, the parents don't even come in. So the kids are just there, and then the parents are gone. So they drove me crazy. Another category, which I kind of touched on before, was the clubhouse kids, the people. And this one is probably going to be more... Honestly, this one's got kind of a wide range. This is literally like teenager to 50 years old. Generally, it's early 20s, but it's people that come in and just hang out. They generally have no intention of buying anything, or if they do, they come in, they get their purchase, and then they just hang out. And, you know, they how do I sound this without sounding like an awful person? A lot of times they'll kind of be courteous about it. So if you're helping a customer, they'll go play an interactive, or they'll just mill around the store. And the minute you're done helping a customer, boom, they're right back there, and they're picking up sentences they left off on 20 minutes ago before somebody walked in. And with them, it's frustrating because a lot of time when customers are in the store, you have a ton of other work to do. You have a lot of other stuff to do. And they just want to monopolize your time. And you know, and the worst part is a lot of the time they don't understand social cues that well. So if you start to be kind of not rude but kind of dismissive, you know, they're like, oh, you know, what's your favorite game? Be like, oh, I like lots of them. And you just kind of leave it like that. You're kind of just closed off sentences. You're busy. You're moving things around. They can see you're working. And sometimes they'll be like, well, hey man, you look busy. Let me let you go. Maybe, you know, we can chit chat sometime. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, see you later. But a lot of times they just keep going. They keep going. Now, part of this is not only they wanting to hang out, but the other thing is that this is kind of a tactic a lot of them use to try and get a job there. So what will happen is that a customer will come in and they'll say, hey, is this game any good? You know, it's Assassin's Creed, whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. Is this game any good? And generally, when you work at a store like this has always been my thing. This kind of gets into the employee things. Even if someone's asking me if a game is good, deep down, they really don't care about my opinion. Either they're looking just to have somebody justify the purchase they're about to make. So if they go in and they pick up the game, like, I want to buy it, but it's, you know, it's like $30. I don't have much money. You know, hey, is this game any good? And if I'm like, oh yeah, it's amazing, it's great, it's wonderful, it just validates what they kind of already want to do. Or if I'm like, it kind of sucks, maybe it'll help them not buy it. Well, we're a business. We're trying to make a profit. And a lot of the time, these kind of hang around kind of clubhouse kid customers will all of a sudden go off and they'll talk about this. So they'll almost basically start spoiling the game. Oh, well, on this part, there's this, and it's really cool. I love this, that, this, that, this. And a lot of time you can see the customer get a little uncomfortable because they're kind of, you know, they just wanted that short validation. They didn't literally want a synopsis of every, you know, level, chapter, part of the game and all this stuff. And the problem is that the kid who's hanging out thinks, you know, oh, I'm doing good. And I don't know, that's really not what the job is, you know. I mean, being able to kind of notice that an employee is busy or that it's not a place to hang out. So that was always the thing. And you could always tell because once there was a lull, that would be like, oh, that, you know, that was pretty cool. I hope I helped them out. Oh, you know, cool. But Hey, are you guys hiring? I'm like, no, I'm not. The next set of people, and mind you, it's been a long time since I worked there, but I'm sure this is still kind of there, is the kind of cheap wheeling and dealing kind of people. And this is actually a pretty wide category of customers. So you'd have people come in and pretty much the most benign version of them are people that just buy. They don't buy stuff based off of what they want, what they like, what they're interested in. They base it off of price. They're the ones that will sit there for an hour going through every sleeved PS2 game. I guess now it would be like PS3 and Xbox games. It's been a while, but and they'll sit on the floor. They'll set up camp. They'll have different piles, and they'll be there for an hour or two going through every game, right? And then they're kind of like annoyed if they're not perfectly organized, even though if they were messing them up. And then at the end they'll come up and be like, all right, I'm gonna get this. It's like $2.99. The reason from a business standpoint, from an employee standpoint, that's frustrating is that someone who spends 2 hours to buy a $2.99 game is not going to get a power-up reward card. They're not going to pre-order anything. They're obviously, if they were going to trade something in, they would have done it when they came in. So they're not even going to get the warranty on the game because it's $3. So that can be kind of, now the thing is they almost always buy used, which is kind of a category that you strive for in the job, but it's a minor one compared to the other ones. So that can be frustrating. But then people trading things in. Now this still kind of goes into the wheeling and dealing kind of people. And I think there's a part of a lot of people that are kind of guilty of this one. Some people way more extreme than others. And I'm kind of repeating myself from past videos, but if GameStop goes away, all the people that are watching these YouTube videos of these people just completely destroying the company and hating on the company and complaining, especially about trade stuff, there's going to be a void. You're not going to have a place to trade. Now, I know a lot of places will have little mom and pop areas that take trade. Here in Tucson, there's a place called Bookman's. There's a couple of mom and pop video game stores that take stuff in. And I'm sure in a lot of your guys' area, especially the bigger the city, town you live in, you might have an option. But when it comes down to it, like, I know a lot of people who live in towns that if they don't have GameStops, they have Walmarts. And that's it. Maybe a Target. And that's about it. And, at that point, you're paying $60 for every game. You're holding on to them. You're whatever else, and you're not getting any money back for them. You're not being able to put them towards other games. Now, I know people have said, oh, you can do it on Amazon. I've looked on Amazon. Their trade prices aren't much, if any, better. And the fact that I have to send it off, and then I get validation, then I can buy my game. I don't want to have a 2-week process where I've got to go to the post office to buy a game, But these people will come in, and if you guys watched Heather and I's video about stuff we hate about yard sales, is this kind of parallel to one of those things, is that electronics are like cars, okay? The minute you buy something, it instantly goes down in value, okay? The minute you purchase anything, it doesn't matter if it's new, it doesn't matter if it's used, it's going to go down in value. That's how cars work. But people look at video games and electronics. I mean, to be honest with you, yes, there's scenarios where, if you buy a used Nintendo from like eBay or something like that, you're still probably going to spend like $100. But there was a point there where there was such a dip that you could pick up a Nintendo on eBay for like $5-10. And then once kind of the retro thing kicked in, and but like that. But here's the thing: if you buy an Xbox One game, for $60. And you play it, you have it, you stick it on the shelf, you let a friend borrow, whatever the deal is. And then 6 months later, you want to trade that game in. I don't care that you paid $60 for it. First of all, the game new now is $40. So we're obviously not going to sell a used copy for $50. And people get really aggressive, and they have this mentality that, and this is going to kind of lead into the next group of people. They have this mentality of that old adage that the customer is always right. Customers more times than not are either dumb, misinformed, or trying to get away with something. You know, the old adage, the customer is always right, you know, is kind of just a generic, you know, treat the customer well, don't argue with them, but at the same time, you don't get taken advantage of in a business. I've seen different stores that will have ridiculous, like, manager price overrides and all this stuff where, you know, managers are getting fired for this, and it's because the manager let people get away, you know, customers get away with stuff, and then all of a sudden, everybody flocked there. Somebody who buy a game at my store, and I wouldn't let them return it because they didn't like it and it was a new game but it was open. But if you go to this store over here and that manager's a pushover, I'm going to return it there and I'm going to get what I want for it. So, unfortunately, you kind of have to be a little hardline. You do have to follow the policy, but yeah, there will be so many people been like, oh, well, you know, I expected to get like, you know, $50 for the game, cash. And I'm like, you paid $60 6 months ago. Oh, but it's still in great condition. I don't care. No one's going to buy it used for $55 when brand new it's $40. And I've got 1,000 copies of it. You know, so, and then they start to come in with the stories. And this is where I'm going to sound a little heartless, but I have heard everything. I have heard need medical treatments. I have heard pay child support. I have heard bail people out of jail. I have heard save my car from being repossessed, save my house from being foreclosed. Let me tell you one thing right now. If your house is about to be foreclosed and $50 makes the difference, I don't think you should have a house. You should rent. You're an apartment person. You're not a house person. I don't own a house, you know. But yeah, you can't imagine I've heard wanting to buy engagement rings. I've heard, you know, getting my child's medicine, like anything kind of heartstring pulley. Is that a phrase? Whatever. Everything you can think of. And it's like, you know, there's not a button for sob story on the keyboard that all of a sudden changes the prices. The prices are the prices. And yeah, and it would just be people, and let me lead into the next one, because this one's kind of tied to it. This one's real simple. All the Karens out there. You kids that are on the internet know what that means, but for those who don't, Karens, soccer moms, swoopy haircuts that come in, and they are the queens, and there's guys that are Karens too, but they have this mentality. They have embraced the customer's always right. I'm the customer, so I'm right, regardless. And I've had parents come in, and not even parents, just adults that have come in and freak out. I've had times that I've had regular customers that are in their 20s. They're legally adults. They can go to big people jail and go off and fight war and buy alcohol. I mean, these are people in their 20, you know, like over 21, that'll come in, they'll trade in a couple of games, and get something new. And it's a lot of time they have a power-up card and they reserve. They're relatively regular customers. And they'll go on their way and it'll be fine. And then the next day, and a lot of time it won't even be me, but it'll be a normal trade. I can look it up. There's nothing hinky about it, right? And all of a sudden this woman will come and be like, well, my son, so-and-so, we might recognize the name, traded in these 2 games yesterday that I got him for his birthday. And I paid $60 a piece. That's $120. And when he traded in, you guys ripped him off. I'll be like, we ripped him off? Be like, yeah, you guys gave him for both games like $50 in store credit. And I'll be like, yeah, okay, sounds about right. And be like, well, I paid $120 for him like a month ago. And I'll be like, I'm sorry, man. I mean, did he steal them from you? I mean, well, no, they were his. I bought them for him. So I'm like, sorry. And I've had people come up and just straight up say, I want the difference. Like, put it in my hand. Like, you gave him 50. I paid 120. I want $70. Let's go. Let's go. And it's like, are you out of your mind, lady? Are you serious that you think that I'm going to refund? And by the way, a lot of time, Karen didn't buy him at GameStop. She bought him at Walmart or Target or Best Buy or something else. So it's not even like she's trying to get a refund from me for stuff she bought from me. Oh, well, and this is my favorite part. Now you got to keep in mind, I didn't have this. I always had a beard, but I didn't have this girth and volume. But I've had these. I've had tattoos pretty much since I was like 18 or 19 years old. So for the most part, I don't generally look like anyone who should be in charge of anything. And that stands true today. But it was my store. I was a store manager. And I loved it. I loved it. Oh, God, I'm getting giddy just thinking about it. You know what? You're not helping me. You're not much of a help. I don't need to deal with some part-time employee. Can I talk to your manager? I'd be like, yeah, sure. Oh, wait, that's me. No, I mean like the store manager. Yeah, that's me. Is there anybody above you in the store? Nope, just me. I'm the boss of everybody here. Everybody who works here. Me. I'm the one. Look, I made a schedule. I'm a grown-up. Yeah, me. I'm the boss. Where's your boss? Tooling around Phoenix somewhere? I don't know. Maybe he's getting a massage. I don't know. I don't keep track of him. I don't have like a day planner of what he's doing or anything. Yeah, it's me. Well, can I get your corporate number? All right, cool. There you go. And even though a lot of employees will complain about it, generally, believe it or not, corporate won't give in to ridiculousness. Now, okay, let's say somebody buys a game. Let's say they buy a used game and they don't like it or whatever. It's a used game and they want to return it. They have 7 days to return it for whatever reason. And they come in right when we open on the 8th day, first thing in the morning. And you've got an employee or manager who is super hardline. You know, the end of the 7th day was 9 o'clock last night when we closed. It is obviously 10 o'clock in the morning on the 8th day. You're out of luck. And, you know, they're not even looking for cash. They're just looking to swap it out for a different game. You know, they're not being a problem. Those people should be taken care of. It's not a big deal. It's customer service. It's being a human being. Oh, you didn't make it last night. You know what? Go ahead and get something else. Here's the funny part. There's a certain pride when you have a store, and there's a certain ownership, especially when you're the store manager. But when it comes down to it, nothing in this store is mine. The money being made isn't mine. If we have a $5,000 day or a $500 day, I still get paid. I get paid the same amount. Yes, there's yearly bonuses, and that's a whole thing. But yeah, so I mean, a lot of the time, it's the same thing when you see somebody get robbed and get chased out of the store, or the employee chases out of the store, and it's like, who cares? It's not your money. And the best part is they're like, wait, I got fired for that? Yes, you put yourself in danger, you moron. We can't have that. So, all right, well, we kind of came to the end of this one. Like I said, this is kind of I think a volume one, because there's a lot more kind of different customers. And by the way, I want to answer a quick question real quick that I saw in the comments. A lot of people, there was a couple people that were saying, oh, you know, I told you you don't really play video games at a video game store. I'd be like, oh, well, I'm sure there's downtime. There's no systems in the back. You can just go and play for 5 minutes. I worked at GameStop for 4.5 years, and I want to say that there was maybe if we got a new demo disc and an interactive, I might tool around with it for a couple minutes. But in this kind of job, there's always something to do. I don't care what anybody tells you. There is never a point where everything is perfect, where everything is done, where everything is organized. There's always something that can be done better. So honestly, no. Now, Game Crazy had a lot less product, and they also had big interactives, like full interactives, and it was a lot slower of a store. So we got in less shipments, we had to ship out less stuff, we had a lot less people coming in. So yeah, there were times at GameStop I could hang around. I think I beat Guitar Hero 1 fully, like I never played it, and then beat it on Expert and never owned it. So I mean, it happens, but really generally at GameStop, you're not going to be able to play video games. And honestly, if you're playing video games and your manager catches it, and there was stuff to do, because there's always stuff to do, yeah, you're not going to work there anymore. And then you have all the time you want to play video games. You just don't have a paycheck. So, all right. Well, this is volume 1. I don't know if we're going to do customer stuff in the next episode, because there's a couple other things I kind of want to talk about. There's a lot of big announcements for GameStop that have been coming out since I started doing this, and I kind of want to focus on more modern day GameStop stuff and some theories I have about it. So I'm not saying that's going to necessarily be the next video, but I don't think we're going to do customers on the next one. So, but I do have some stories. This is still kind of rant video. In the next, handful of episodes, I'll tell you about how I got, robbed twice from the same window. That's a funny story. So there are some things coming up. But once again, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. For you guys that are sticking around, I noticed that my views are have dropped quite a bit since I started doing this series. And I'm okay with that. I'm all right, as long as the people that are sticking around are being entertained. But we'll keep going. And just for anybody who might be watching, this Mondays with Modii isn't just going to be forever about video games. This is just the string of things I'm doing now. We're going to talk about music and bands, because as much as I joke about it, I've been in real bands. I've been in punk rock bands. I skateboarded for a decade. A lot of people don't know that. I had my first kid at 20, my second kid at 22, and now they're both adults that have moved out. So I got plenty of stories. There's a story about how I pooped myself one time. Someday. That's like sweeps week kind of stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, we went way over on this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, and click that bell. Those 3 things. You hear it becomes so background noise of people saying, oh, like and subscribe and hit that bell and stuff like that. Liking makes people see the videos. We're trying to get this community growing, trying to make it grow, trying to bring in more like-minded people. And the more people that like it, the more odds they're going to be able to see the video. Subscribing, that just helps us out. That helps the numbers. The bigger we get, the more people can see our video. And then clicking that bell, we just don't want you guys to miss any videos. Go check out the Patreon. Helps us get equipment. I'm really hoping at some point we can get like a really nice camera with a nice microphone. I'm tired of our vlog stuff sounding like we're in the back of a bathroom, but financially we can't get anything else right now, and that is exactly what the Patreon is for. And then lastly, go check out our Spreadshirt shop. Heather just recently set it up. We don't have a ton of designs, but we've got that design on a ton of stuff. So if you want to support the channel, you can that way. But even if you can't become a Patreon and you can't get anything from the merch shop, just keep watching. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, all of those completely free. Doesn't cost you a damn thing. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, until the next episode, I want to thank you all so much for hanging out. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.